I'm going to tell you a story from my book, Just Frank. It's on Amazon. You can get a copy if you'd like to read the whole book. This is about one time in Poughkeepsie when I was about yay big, and I was sort of a Huckleberry Finn, you might say. We lived on Lown Court at the time, and there was a street with buildings on either side of it, and it was surrounded by empty lots. And the lots were all full of garbage from the surrounding society. A lot of it was cinders from the furnaces. Everybody used coal at that time, and we had cinders. They had to be disposed of. Now, it's great stuff for kids because it's easy to dig in, and it's a good landfill. It also sumac and nice grasses, and what we call duck grass would grow in it. It was a wonderland. So it was a great place for a kid to grow up, Huckleberry Finn style. We used to collect snakes at one time. It turns out that the whole area is full of milk snakes and garter snakes, and they'd collect under rocks and under pieces of tin, old knee-high signs, soda signs that were laying on the ground. The whole trick was to catch them behind the head quick before they figured out what was going on. I used to catch a lot of them. One day I went to school with one in my pocket, and a little one, and I turned it loose in class, and this created quite a fuss. The teachers and the girls up on their chairs screaming. They finally had to call the janitor and dispatch the poor thing. I don't really know how he dispatched it. I completely forgotten all that. That's amnesia from part of a criminal, basically. But that was the sort of thing that was going on. One day I was in the back of the house, and I saw a rat. There were a lot of rats in this area. The place was full of them, and we saw them all the time. And a rat went over and climbed up on the cinder blocks that were supporting my back porch and down into the cinder block, like this. So I went over to the side of the house and hooked up the hose, and went around to the cinder block, put the hose full of water to run into the block, and waited. And in a minute or so, a very angry and wet rat came tumbling out of this thing, thoroughly ticked off. He went into the corner under the porch, and I decided, since I was the world's foremost expert at catching snakes, that I'm going to catch a rat. That couldn't be that much different. Well, it was. So I went in and got into a wrestling match with a rat, and he managed to bite me on 3 fingers. I still got the scars. And their teeth are very sharp. They went right to the bone. And I was bleeding. I finally got him like this. This is a rat one of my friends at Poughkeepsie gave me. Stuffed. Not really stuffed. Paper mache. But I went into the house like this, but the rat was fiercely trying to get up like this at my hand. And my mother was in the kitchen, serenely ironing, perfectly tranquility of suburban, warm, comfy motherhood. And here I come in the door with a live rat hanging by the tail, and blood, blop, 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 down onto the floor. My mother turned white. She almost had a fit. And she screamed, "Get that thing out of here." So I went out the back porch and turned him loose. As far as I know, his progeny is still wandering around Poughkeepsie, causing mischief. So she called Dr. Crispell, the family doctor, and he said, "Get Franklin to the hospital as soon as possible." So they got me to the hospital, and of course I was the center of attention because people didn't get chewed up by rats every day in Poughkeepsie. I seem to set new standards for things. And they decided that they'd have to give me a tetanus shot. The doctor asked my mother if I was allergic to anything. He says, "Yeah, he has seasonal allergies and strawberries give him the hives and things like that, but nobody checked to see whether I was allergic to horses or not." Well, it turned out that the antitoxin of the day was made from horse blood from infected horses. They gave me a shot, and I went into shock, passed out. So everything went boom, just faded away. I have almost total recall of this, very vivid, I remember it. I woke up sometime later, I was in a bed, hospital bed, and my hand was wrapped like a boxer's glove in gauze, and we had to soak it with urea solution, because for some reason that works very well and that sort of thing. But it stunk. And the next day I went to school, and I was the center of attention there because not every day some idiot got chewed up by a rat in the school, so everybody fussed over me. But they wouldn't get too close to me because I smelled bad, urea. Well, that was the story. There's a big lesson here. And the lesson is, rats are not all 4-legged. Because you'll find if you read my book that there's a lot of 2-legged rats too. We've got a big episode about them. You're going to have to read the book to find out what it was all about. But also, if you listen to the newspapers to see what's going on now, you'll find out there's a lot of 2-legged ones wandering around in Washington right now. God help us. I hope we can somewhere or other do something about all of this. Thanks for watching. If you respond to this, I'll read you another chapter later on. But we're going to wait to see what your response is.